Now, what is leg management? Leg management is summarized in its tagline. The tagline is, if you've got 2 legs, keep them together. If you have 3, keep the third one to yourself until you say, I do. Did you get it? If you have 2 legs, do what? Keep them together. If you have 3, keep the third one to yourself until you say, I do. If you didn't get it, forget about it. Forget about it. So, but I'm going to pick up one aspect, and I'm going to talk about just one aspect today, and I'm hoping it's going to be very helpful. I'm going to speak to a large degree to men. Ladies, you'll be covered, but I'm speaking to a large degree to who? Men. To men. When we were growing up, long time ago, when we were growing up, there was a practice of talking about matters of sexuality in relationships, mainly to girls. When we would talk to girls to a large degree, because the idea was they are the ones who are going to fall pregnant. They are the ones who are going to have broken hearts. They are the ones who get the short end of the stick. And when things go wrong and they move from one relationship to another, they are the ones who end up with a bad name. And we had bad labels for them and called them all kinds of things. And so the focus was on girls. And so it was take care of yourself, behave in a particular way. And I remember we used to attend presentations of, don't let these boys play with you. I remember there was a lady who said, football teams that play, they have a practice field, and then the field where they play their match on match day. Do not agree to be a practice field. You are a match day field. And of course, people would raise their hands and clap hands. But the focus was on girls. Why? Because for guys, there was no real downside to this. It did not appear as though there was a downside. Even when guys would get bad names and be called dogs, it would be like, and that's like a compliment. Do you understand? But of course, it was not the same thing when it came to ladies. But with us, it's garbage, and the guy's like, yeah. And so the focus was there. But in the process, a lot of things happened that messed us up as guys, but that we did not get to talk about. That we did not know how to deal with later on. One of them is this. As everybody wants to be significant. Everybody wants to be significant somewhere and to somebody. It's a fact of life. We all want to be significant. All of us want to be important somewhere. We want to be important to somebody. And usually you get that significance at home. You become a significant person at home. You become a significant child at home. People love you. They take care of you. But we don't always get it there. And when we don't get it there, we try and get it elsewhere. Probably we get it among your friends. And when you become the person among your friends, sometimes you don't get it there. And you try and find other places where we get it. And for some reason, there was a way in which guys we could be significant. And that's by having a beautiful girlfriend. Now, it was not about her, it was about, she's my girlfriend. And so I got mileage from her beauty. Of course, when she dumps you, it's a different story, it messes you up. But I got mileage from that. People could get mileage from having a number of girlfriends. And it was not even about wanting to have a number of girlfriends. It just gave you mileage because you were seen as a guy who could. Now, why was this important? It was important because it is very hard to talk to a girl. You need to organize the courage to go. The courage to go there and say, hi, I am Mandla. And then she could give you all kinds of reaction of like, So? And then you are thinking, oh Lord, I was hoping for a better response. I was hoping she was going to say, oh Nam, I am Avia. And she's like, so? And you're like, you're thrown off. And remember, the courage you need to go and approach a lady, you don't just need courage, you need a certain level of fluence. You need to be fluent. I'm not talking about English, I'm talking about just when speaking. There are some people who struggle to put a sentence together. They can think it, but putting it together is something else. Even in your own mother tongue, it just doesn't come out right. And some of us, we like humor, but we don't have it. And so you come to her and you try and drop the joke, it lands badly, you don't know how to recover. And sometimes she chuckles or laughs or is like, ooh. And then you feel, oh Lord, I'm not doing this again, I'm not doing this again. So it's a lot. So it's something that is admirable, that you can approach a lady, risk the rejection and whatever she's going to say, and actually carry a conversation such that she would be open to a second conversation. Now, do you see how it becomes a big deal when you've got more than one girlfriend? It's like, yo, brah, you could. Yeah, I did. Did you understand? It speaks to your courage, it speaks to your fluency, it speaks to your ability to hold a conversation. It speaks to your ability to be your ability to be interesting to somebody else, such that they will be interested in you as a person. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so we got mileage from that as well. And some of us, because we were able to get mileage there. And remember, your beauty is not about you, it's about me and what mileage I can get out of it. And so is having the different girlfriends. Such that we valued what we could get from the relationship more than what we could give. For a very long time, we learned how to get people into our lives, but not how to keep them.
Yeah.
We knew how to get them, but not how to keep them. This is why it's easy for people, men particularly, it's easy for us to woo ladies, but we don't have the relationship skills to be in good, healthy, functional relationships. Of course, it messes up later when we're married. But to sweep you off your feet, that can be learned over time. You can practice it and you can do it. But to actually sustain a relationship now, that's something different. And some of us, when we were hurt, because of course people do dump you at some point. It's a fact of life. You get dumped. And when we get dumped, we discover those sad songs. We discover sad songs when the person sings, you feel the person gets you. They get you. They capture this into words. We discover the sad songs. And part of what we have done to recover or to prevent being hurt again like this in the future is some of us have then said, if one person can do this to hurt me, I'll make sure that one person no longer has the power to do this again. If I ever go to get someone in my life, it'll have to be 4, 5, 6 of you, so that no one person can do this amount of damage. So many players, it's a defense mechanism. No one person can put me through this again. But if you're 4 and you leave, there's another 3. Another 3. Replace. So you can't be emotionally invested in any one person. It's putting your eggs in one basket. So there's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Why? Because you're trying to make sure you never get this hurt again. Are certain things beginning to make sense? Now, in the process of doing that, you learn how to manage people. Now, people do it differently. Some manage these different relationships through lies. Why? Because if you tell them the truth, they might all leave. So you lie to this one, and 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 you just have to have good memory to remember all the lies you told to everybody. But this is how you are able to have someone in your life. You can have the intimacy you want, but it's diversified. It's not with one person. Why? So that you can never be this hurt again. And so if you're gonna manage these 4 people with lies, so that you're not this hurt again, The one thing you become good at is what? Not because you're a bad guy, but because you don't want to be hurt again. So these 4 people are here to help you not to be this hurt again and to be able to keep them. You must give them versions of the truth. Some are very far from the truth, some are very close to the truth, but it depends. And so we end up perfecting that art. And having multiple people also, unfortunately, gets us addicted to novelty. Some people are not addicted to sex. They're addicted to novelty, something new. To something what? New and different. And here we are later on, we then decide we want to settle down. What skills do we bring to the table? I know how to charm you. I can actually make you feel special, like you're the only person who matters in the world. And that's not being deceitful. It's something I've learned over time, and when you're special, I can make you feel special. So you find that people say, it's like it's 2 different people. It's not. It's just that there is this ability to be really loving and very charming and very caring and, this special person. And when other people say, stay away, you say, you don't know him like I do. It's something that you can do. Then, on top of that, I am also able to manage tricky situations with different versions of the truth that have different proximities to the truth. I can do it very well. So what can you do? I can charm you very well. I can lie at the drop of a hat, not because I'm a bad person necessarily, but because the situation needs to be managed with this story right now. Are certain things beginning to make sense? Yes. So there's this wonderful, loving, caring version, and there's this version you just don't understand. How did this happen? And then lastly, there's a struggle with the relationship skill of how to keep this thing going. Now, for example, people talk about certain skills you need in a relationship, like communication. Yes, you need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to communicate what you want. And communication experts, for example, will say you must use I statements. I feel like when you do this, this is how I feel when you do this, blah, blah, blah. And that's a good thing to say. You must be able to talk when you're not upset. You must be able to communicate your point well. You must be able to listen to the other person and give, active listening, be attentive and give feedback to other person. Those are good communication skills. But a relationship skill is knowing when do you win and when do you lose. And that's another communication skill. That's a relationship skill. There is a fight you might be able to win it, but should you fight it? Now that's a relationship skill. That's something we don't always get to cultivate as guys, because we have other things that we are doing when we are still young. And it messes us up royally later on, because now you are in a permanent relationship that requires more relationship skills. You are in a relationship now where you must be willing to risk telling the truth and deal with the aftermath. And that's a very expensive proposition. Very expensive proposition. You are in a relationship where the person is already charmed. Now they must be kept. Sure. That's a different one. To meet someone for a date, for an afternoon, for a Sunday afternoon, we're in church together. That's easy because we can fill the time together with a movie, we can fill the time together with an activity, we can fill the time together with other friends. But what happens when you have to live with a person and it's a long weekend? And now remember, you've already had probably, if the long weekend starts on Thursday, 16th of June is Thursday, and then you have the Friday off, the 17th, fine. Some maybe think you're gonna have sex, you've had it on Wednesday, né? Or probably even Thursday morning. Let's grant you have it Thursday morning, and then what? And then the person is here, and then you're thinking, Now you need what? You need to be able to have sensible conversations. You need to talk about things that are big and small. There are big things you're gonna talk about, life plans, dreams, and all of that. Even to have that conversation is a lot. And then you must talk about small, insignificant stuff. Small, insignificant stuff like hair and fiber. And of course, you're not interested in fiber, but she's interested in fiber, so you must talk about what now? About fiber. And you are being asked to, when you come back from the shop, don't forget to buy whatever it is that you need to buy. And you're like, huh? And you must go to that aisle now and be taught to know, here you must check, it's this and that. And you need to have the courage of being in that aisle and be seen by other people. You are in that aisle, you are checking, this is overnight, this is mild, this is heavy. Because you are married, these things should be normal here. But those are the small conversations we did not always master. Now, I say this because when we are still young and single, we don't always think of developing relationship skills we are going to need later on in life, particularly when you have settled down. I say this to men because almost every man who wants to get married will get married. Numbers. There are less men than women. Almost every man who wants to get married will get married. Even the ugly ones, don't worry, time is on your side. Time. Because when in your 20s, the ladies are picky, they can decide who they like, who they don't like, fine, give them time. Late 20s, the standards drop, don't worry. If you are still that ugly, give it time. Early 30s, the standards are almost gone. By mid-30s, you just need to be alive. You need to be alive, and it's fine. So even the worst guy, ugly guy, who can't put together a sentence, time is on your side. You just don't rush it. Don't rush it. And it's not because the ladies are bad. It's because there's just not enough stock. There's not enough stock. The truth. They're just short. They're just not enough men. So there are many great women who would make great wives. There's just not enough stock, and that's it. And when you see when the shelf is getting empty, you stop being finicky. Even if you saw the loaf of bread, it was like crushed on one side, and then you go buy drinks, you come back, and you're like, hey, there are 4 loaves, and there are people asking, where's the bread? You take the one with the crushed side, and you feel I'll fix it myself at home. And as a result, there are many guys who've been fixed by their women. Have you noticed that? And then she just picks them up, clean, wash him over, and the guy looks fine. So every guy, almost every man who wants to get married will get married. And so we need to kind of plan the long term. We need to plan the long term, and planning the long term requires a few things. Planning the long term requires that we become very intentional in our interaction with members of the opposite sex. Very, very intentional. Intentional in the sense that there's the whole idea that we always talk about trifling with hearts. We shouldn't trifle with hearts because Ellen White says trifling with hearts is a sin of no small magnitude in the eyes of the sight of a holy God. And it's true, we shouldn't be trifling with hearts. But in addition to it, I want to say we must think about the long term. In the long term, you want to be able to be in a stable relationship, a healthy, happy relationship, which means we must start when we are still young to move away from the concept of my way or the highway. It's true we have more options, but that works against us. It works against us to be able to say things must happen my way or they don't happen at all. Because you cultivate an attitude that's going to be very difficult to live with. Very difficult to live with. Number 2, we need to be able to see women and know that the value of the relationship is far outweighs sexual value. Let me explain this. We always say to young people, and it's true, that when you get married, you'll have an abundance of sex. It's true. You will have an abundance of it. Until at some point you feel, I'm sorted. Not true. Talk to people who've been married for a while. Not those who are not getting some and therefore they're always stuck. But people who are happily married, they are sorted. After a while, you're like, well, it's like in Xhosa there is a saying, indlala ligwala. When you are hungry, you open the fridge and it's full. Sometimes you can walk away with an apple. Why? Hunger just got scared of the food and ran away. But if you're mildly hungry, you open the fridge and it's empty, you become very hungry. So it's the same thing. People who are married, they're kind of sorted. And then you discover that there is there is value that you need from this lady that goes far beyond sex. You need someone you can talk to. You need someone you can have the courage to open up to and talk to and share things about you that are sensitive without the fear that they are going to be used against you. Once you use it against me in a fight, forget it. I'm not telling you anything again. I hear the apology. I'm not telling you anything because you've used it against me. So you need that kind of person. You need someone who you can think with. Someone you can bounce ideas off and is not gonna, dismiss your ideas as though they are foolish. You need someone like that. You need someone you can experience stuff with. Someone you can have fun with. Someone you can go places with. Someone who can be able to survive in your circles. Someone who can what? Survive in your circles. Now let me tell you why this is important. Those of you who went to Model C schools, who have a fluency in English, let me tell you a bias that you have, whether you've admitted it or not. Once you have a fluency in English and your friends went to those schools as well, nothing makes you feel like dying, like introducing a guy and then they mess up the language in the presence of your friends. You feel... And then you find yourself saying, now why do you say that? Because you feel your circles require a fluency, right? And so you need that. You need that. So you need someone who's going to fit into your circles. Someone's going to be able, you're going to be able to move in life with. Someone you can dream big dreams with and achieve them together. Now once you start realizing that that's what you're going to want long term, that's what you start looking for short term. When you look at ladies now, one of the things we know for sure is that more often than not, whatever looks are there that are in their youth will disappear for different reasons. Once you have children, some people in their genes, you have children, the weight, they pick up weight, some life stress. Some people, they look good, but they just don't age well, Some do, some don't. And so whatever looks excites you now and figure that excites you now may not be there after your first or second child. Which means that if that's what brought you here, you are stuck 6, 7, 8 years into the marriage, it's gone. It's gone. And at that point, and as ladies get older, you know what? They start realizing that their hair is a lot of work. Then they start looking at things like short hair. And you're like, but I love your hair. No, it's too much work. It's too much work. And they start looking for convenient things. And you're like, no, but yeah, it's what happens. So you realize that you want something way more than the sexual attraction that you initially had. Because we have not always prioritized the full package outside of the sexual attraction and the looks. Sometimes we have ended up having a particular type of lady that attracts us, that we like. But this type is not sustainable in the long term. There are people who guys who like a particular kind of lady, someone who's like this, they describe them. But all those relationships become very toxic and miserable because that type just doesn't work. Why? Because you have not looked at what do you need long term. You have not. And so you simply move from same person, just different face and different ID number. But it's the same type of person, same problems. Not just in relationships, we've seen this happen in marriages as well. You get this person, you have problems, divorce, marry someone else, just like the first one. Have same problems. Divorce, find the third one. Same type. What's gonna happen? Same problems, end up divorcing. And sometimes the type we are looking at is not a type that fits in with our long-term dreams and vision. It's a type that fits in with what attracts us. So this is the message to the guys today. When we think of the ladies, and there are many beautiful ones here, your long-term investment goes beyond the face. Of course, be careful. It must be someone who you are attracted to. You don't want to have other problems. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the body structure. It goes beyond that. It has to do with what you are going to need in the long term. And if you have a number of people, ladies, that you are managing in your life to prevent being hurt, it's a very expensive way of managing pain. Very expensive way of managing pain. It's expensive for you, yes, for the ladies as well, because they're going to get hurt, but it's expensive for you because you are learning, you are developing appetites. You are learning skills that are going to be detrimental. It's going to be very hard to unlearn them. So for those who are in the room who've got a number of people in their lives, it's a very expensive way of dealing with pain. Rather, deal with your fear. And the reality is that anytime you're into an intimate relationship, there's a very good chance you might be hurt when that thing doesn't work. That's it. That's just life. You just have to live with it, be able to be hurt and bounce back and continue. But you can't prevent it from happening without losing the ability to be intimate with somebody, fully, completely intimate with somebody else. So if you have a number of people in your life, it doesn't work. It may work in the short term, but it's going to cost you in the long term. So just drop it. There was wisdom in saying, don't trifle with hearts. It's not just that it's a sin of no magnitude in the sight of the Holy God. It's also extremely expensive for you as the guy. And secondly, we get to sabotage our own futures simply because we are trying to prevent being hurt in the short term. So you have multiple people, drop that. And if you are trying to manage situations and you find yourself lying to one person and the other to manage situations in your life, it's a very expensive trait that you are developing. It's gonna cost you big time later on. Cut your losses and start cultivating a habit of resolving your issues by telling the truth and facing the music. That's a much better trait to develop, and it's going to help you in the long term. Because one of the big things we deal with when we handle marriage counseling is people who say, "Akana nyani." Person does not tell the truth. I don't know when to believe him and when not to believe him. And at that point, whatever apology you give and whatever commitment you give that you're not going to do it again has no value. Why? You have developed a reputation of not being trustworthy. And those relationships, it's very hard to bring them back from the brink. It's very, very hard. People who do marriage counseling will tell you, we struggle. Once you cannot be trusted, we struggle to help you put the relationship back together. But for you not to use that tactic when you are married, you need to develop when you are young and still single to make sure that you tell the truth and face the music. Tell the truth and what? And face the music. Courage is a manly trait. It includes facing the music. If you've messed up, tell the truth, face the music, and that's it. If you lose certain things, you lose certain things. If you lose certain people, you lose them. But it helps you to develop that trait because in the long term, it's going to work to your benefit. And lastly, the reputations we develop, the nice names we get because we've got multiple people in our lives, also become expensive. They teach us to like something new, novelty. Now this is a downside of liking something new. After 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, your wife is no longer something new. And even when you love him, and this is the thing you'll find some people who have said you have heard people say, I love my wife, then why did you sleep with this person? Just. My time is up, ne? All right. When you develop this appetite of something new, you end up with a spouse who after 5-10 years is no longer something new. But because you cultivated an appetite for novelty, having something new, you end up doing things you don't want to do. Why? Because you cultivated an appetite of having something new and different. And even when we sit and ask you, why did you do it? It doesn't make sense to you. I honestly don't know. It's just the two of us. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, my wife is a lot better. I mean, you see how foolish this thing was. Then why did you end up doing it? Of course, sometimes we throw it to a demon. It must have been a demon and doesn't get way in. But honestly, some of these things we developed because we were trying to deal with other things. And so, to the guys, I would say, having multiple people over and over again in different places is expensive in the long term. And if you're going to invest in your own future and in your own family, it's something that you do not want to try and develop now. So if you're doing it, walk away from it. This is a gift you are giving to yourself. You give the gift to yourself. So, novelty, walk away. If you have multiple people, that thing is going to cost you. If you're managing situations through lies, that's also going to what? Cost you. So give yourself this gift of being, as a single person, the kind of person you want to be when you are married. Practice it now. It will help you then. And this has the benefit of helping people. I'm saying this with having dealt with many marriages. And I can tell you, these are some of the causes of the biggest problems in marriages. When these relationships collapse, this is when somebody says, I love him, but I can no longer live with him. Now that's a very difficult point to get to. I love him, but I cannot what? Continue to live with him. I hope this has been helpful to the guys as we wait for that day when we say I do. May we be now the kind of men we want to be. Amen. Amen.